I'm not a flyer, but I love fast things. Well, this is a project that came about from a friend of mine who was a photographer that shot for the Air Force. He told me about the story of the red tails, and I said, wow, that's a really good idea for a movie.
Action!
We've made it all the way from Tuskegee here to Ramitelli.
I started on this around 20 years ago, and I just stuck with it. It's just been a project that I really wanted to do.
I never even met a girl as beautiful as this plane.
I love P-51s. When I was young, that was the hottest airplane. I can't believe somebody was 19 flying these things and then going into battle. It's pretty stunning and amazing when you think about it.
Hey, Junior! Where is he? I can't see him! Ah!
Being able to bring this to reality, to be able to actually stand here with the P-51s, with the replication of Ramitelli, it's like the most exciting thing you can do. With digital technology now, we can actually do a real dogfight, the way it should be done.
Come on, man! Take him out!
Where you can follow it and make it dramatic.
All right, got him. Oh, thank you, love.
The struggle for African Americans to fight during World War II is part of the story. You can't tell the story without it.
We have a right to fight for our country, the same as every other American.
I wanted something a little bit more personal, something about the individual pilots and what they went through and the guys that love to fly. A lot of people wanted to be involved in this project, so we were really lucky.
You kept your word, man.
How are you doing?
It's turned out nice.
We got a great, fantastic cast. I was a big fan of The Wire, and that's really how I decided to hire Anthony. I've done my 20 years now. I'm handing the ball off to you. Out of that, Anthony hired a lot of the kids that were in The Wire around in that whole little world. Rick McCallum and I have worked together for years and years, and Charles Johnson has also been working on this project for the 20 years.
No, I'd love to just walk you around and just kind of show you.
walk me around, yeah.
We would have meetings with the Tuskegee Airmen to make everything as accurate as we possibly could.
You guys look pretty good.
We've had a lot of sessions out of the ranch where we brought all the Tuskegee Airmen together and the cast together. And so they had these weekends and they'd all talk to each other and tell stories and do things so that the actors could get into the real guys and who they are.
Did you feel the responsibility to be somebody to look up to for the kids back at home?
We were the local rock stars of the black community.
The story of the Tuskegee Airmen is a big story, and it's an amazing story. Just like Star Wars, it's a big action picture, lots of dogfights, lots of excitement, but it's basically about a bunch of kids that went through an amazing journey and all came out heroes.
To the last man, we fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight!
They're the knights of the contemporary age. And I'm hoping that this film is an inspiration to young people today.
Every time I see the Lucasfilm stamp, I break out in hives. I'm like, wow, I'm a part of that. I got a call from my agent. He said, George Lucas wants to meet with you. I was like, yeah, right, okay, sure. Me? Why me? Being considered amongst, I'm sure, all of my colleagues, this opportunity is like huge. Interesting thing is I was a PA in the early 90s on Young Indiana series. Of course, it was something that I didn't share initially until they offered me the job, and then I was like, this has come full circle. I got sent in to meet with George. As I was walking out of the room, I was like, may the force be with you. Why? Red Tails is a celebration of life. It's a celebration of breaking down barriers. In celebrating the lives of the Tuskegee Airmen, we all have something to gain from it. Even in school, I didn't know who the Tuskegee Airmen were. The world needs to know the story. Rick McCallum and I went to sit and talk with the True History books.
We got over there in January '45. Okay, so you were over there in time for Berlin. Oh, yeah.
Understanding who they were really helped me to see who we should be really looking for in the cast. These stories are so few and far between. I wanted everyone to come in and have a shot and understand it wasn't just a job to come in and just act. What's happening? This is Bill Holloman, everyone. All right. We got a chance to get the Tuskegee Airmen and the cast together to spend time with them, to laugh with them. My mother came and cooked a meal.
We're gonna sit down and eat a meal that's been blessed.
It was like we were all at home in somebody's house.
This was done by one of our Star Wars artists, and this guy does World War II art.
It's amazing. It was huge.
I came to the right place.
They were able to talk to the cast firsthand and give them some pressure that you've met the heroes that you're portraying.
You folks, I think, will represent us very, very well. I just can't wait to see you in flying jackets. I can't wait to see you in a P-51, because I teach you a few things.
You could really see the camaraderie that the guys have.
We've been friends for 60 plus years. He's still giving me trouble.
And it's something that I stressed over and over and over in the beginning, and why I was very strong about them doing the boot camp, and thankfully Rick allowed us to do it. I don't think any of them knew what they were getting into.
Let's go, gentlemen!
There were days that I would pass them when they were doing their drills, and they were shooting me daggers. Like, I think they all wanted to take me in the woods somewhere and sacrifice me or something. Get me out of here.
It's miserable, messed up.
I want to go home. The flight training and swimming pool tests and drills allowed them to really understand the camaraderie that they needed in the air.
Come on, come on, come on.
I didn't feel like anyone, even myself, understood what it was to pilot a plane. The Tuskegee Airmen were known for their record of losing the fewest bombers. I took the cast to an airfield so they understood the G-forces, knowing what it felt like to hang upside down, all the aerobatics. I wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to experience it.
In your name, Jesus' name, I pray.
Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Prayer is important in everything that I do, and especially when we're going up in them planes. I wanted to pray for safety.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day.
I remember the day we shot, a prayer circle.
We ask that you send your angels down to surround us as we fly through the sky.
Every time I see it, I get chills. It's just crazy. It was a scene that we added. It wasn't originally scripted, and it wasn't until we shot it that I heard it. We come into the scene in a huddle, a big group prayer that I want you to lead. I laid the responsibility on Marcus, playing Deke. I could have written a prayer for him, but I wanted it to be true. It needed to come from him.
All the airmen say, in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I was proud. Everyone continued to know and understand what we were doing. We never fell out of it.
From the last plane to the last bullet to the last minute to the last man, we fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight!
With such a high percentage of action and visual effects, I knew that having George Lucas on my side, we would collaborate really well together.
Any of y'all want to shoot a movie?
Anthony's gonna do it all, and I just have to sit back and watch now.
That's what he said the first day we met. And that's when I felt the weight of the world on me.
With George's background with visual effects and action, my nerves were calm because I'm working with the team that created this.
They're gonna replace the airplane.
Right.
All they're gonna do is cut him out of the cockpit.
The story was really on my shoulders.
This is Anthony Hemingway, and he is the director.
For me to helm this, it's such a huge responsibility. I was humbled to just even be able to meet these heroes. I don't think it's just a black story. It's definitely an American story. It's a story that many people can take something from, especially young black boys and girls, to know that anything's possible if you dream and believe.
When it came to the casting of the film, we were all in agreement. We loved The Wire. That's why we loved Anthony. We loved his work. And the woman who had cast all the episodes of The Wire, Alexa Fogel, I thought she was absolutely perfect for this. The minute she read the script, I mean, she just nailed it perfectly. Once we got all the young guys done, then we knew we had to go out and look for stars. We latched on to Cuba and Terrance, and they both said yes immediately, and we were on our way.
I heard that they were doing a movie about the Tuskegee Airmen, and I met with Anthony and just told him, I got to be a part of it. No matter what character, I don't care. I just think it's an important story to tell. My first love of film roles are these military film roles. I think it's the easiest way to say to men and women, you can do great things for this country.
Questions, gentlemen?
With this character, Major Emmanuel Stans, I would look at him as a coach. you know, he's talking to his guys at halftime. And you all thought what? You'd sign up, you get shiny boots, a uniform, and that'd be the end of 100 years of bigotry. It's a miracle you're flying fighters in Italy and not mopping latrines in Milwaukee. I play him kind of as a hard ass, but yeah, he's really just a warrior who had to command all these young boys and send them off to war. Get your head up, son. You're fighter pilots. Anthony wanted me to use a pipe. You know, at first, like, a pipe, you know, okay. It was almost like a pacifier, this thing. But it was one of those things where a prop actually connects you to the character for me. I knew that they were gonna build a base that would transport us back into time. But that one watchtower that I climbed the ladder in and then I'd look out for the planes coming in and landing, that really put me back in that time period. And I remember when George came and said, I think the best line that I heard him say is, I'm not here to make a movie about victims, I'm here to make a movie about heroes. And I think that sums up his efforts to get the story right, to get the visuals right, to get the film-going experience right. I think the world needs examples of inspiration and hope and honor and determination and courage. All of those themes are expressed in what the simple acts of everyday bravery the Tuskegee Airmen did. And this is their story. And it's great.
We've done every low-down, dirty job you've handed us, hoping that we would just limp along and go away. We will not go away. I'm Terrence Howard, and I'm playing Colonel A.J. Bullard in Red Tails. My character is like the Martin Luther King of the Air Force. We have a right to fight for our country, the same as every other American. So you shut us down, or you let us fly. He's responsible for keeping those young Tuskegee Airmen in their position of high integrity.
To the last man we fight, we fight.
Yes, sir. You kept your word, man.
How are you doing? Good to see you back.
George Lucas and I spoke about 3.5 years ago, and he told me that he was thinking about doing this.
All over, it's been 20 years.
For him to stand behind this project and pick Anthony Hemingway, such a talented young director, it was absolutely fantastic. You wanted to fly, you made your pick. He took the chance. Anthony has really been the architect of my character. Not one time have I left the set and felt like, man, there was something I forgot to do. And that's the whole point of having a great director. I've come bearing gifts. Bomber escorts, new P-51s. We've been given the greatest resources available, the greatest technology to make an action film. Once George is able to go in there and add his expertise, we're gonna have a home run.
Okay, Eddie's.
The thing that makes it beautiful is the fact that it is a historically significant story.
I was telling Terrance, it's informal time, but you hit it right.
Those Tuskegee Airmen can tell some incredible stories. They would correct your belt and your hat, your stand.
You're looking pretty good, yeah.
These men had so much integrity, so much depth, so much discipline. I'm very thankful that they persevered through all the things that they fought for. Because look at where we are now.
Mister, we're good? I got him, I got him.
My name is Nate Parker. I'm portraying the character of Marty Julian, AKA Easy.
Love you like a brother, Joe.
If you disobey my orders again, I'm gonna have to write you up.
For what? For being right? I told you those guns were there. You almost got yourself killed.
No, I followed protocol. You went for the glory, there's a difference.
I really love this brother. He's talented, and I actually saw him as Easy from the beginning.
You put a minute's worth of righteousness ahead of a whole war.
He came in already knowing Easy is my character.
Everything for Easy is very much internal. He takes everything as a grain of salt because he has to. He understands that there are regulations when it comes to the military, and when we pick up on him in the film, he's starting to doubt that idea that optimism can get him through.
Let's go down and see if we can find something to shoot at.
One more from the top right away.
And action.
Anthony has a way of keeping us motivated, keeping us inspired.
That was great, guys.
Because I know we can be a handful, especially so many of us. And Anthony has just done a great job of keeping us in it in every moment, every frame. He knows the stuff inside out, beat for beat, and we all use that as a motivation to really come to work ready and prepared.
David Oyelowo came into the audition and killed it.
Easy! You take it back!
It really made it hard to even consider anyone else. We were like, wow, that's lightning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Oyelowo!
first 3 days of the shoot were mind-blowing. It felt a little bit more like I was involved in a space launch than actually doing a film.
When Easy comes to my left, was I looking in the right places?
We've been shooting a lot of the gimbal stuff, so this is us in planes with a green screen.
Brand new 109s. Not so brand new 109s.
George Lucas has done things no one else has, really, and if there's anyone you want to be in charge of that, it would be Lucasfilm.
This is actually really for my action figure, isn't it?
I think every actor has this notion that one day all they'll need to do is sort of take a picture of you and then you can go home. Of course, that's not true, but this technology is just so outside of my comprehension. Seeing the film is going to be as exciting for those of us who did it as it'll be for the audience.
With the highest of utmost respect, Colonel Archer has come here and lend us his services.
Well, I'm being you now, you see. Meeting actual Red Tails, Lee Archer, Bill Holloman, and Roscoe Brown was invaluable from, an authenticity point of view.
Hi, David. You're the man who flashed his P-51 into a jet plane?
Yes.
Yeah, how you gonna get out of that?
Roscoe Brown walked onto the base and he was like, yeah, that's where that was. Oh, that's exactly what that looked like. And you guys look a bit like what we did.
Good replicas. Good replicas. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. We didn't purposely go out and look for anybody in the music industry, but Neo had been suggested. He came in, and he is electric.
Did I just hear him confuse my degree in industrial sciences with herding cows?
He read the part, but he had brought a whole character. He had the whole character Smokey. He created that character all on his own.
Look, my name's Smokey. This is Neon, this Joker.
He nailed it, and there was no other person we wanted to see.
Lords of Poker. Black Jesus, white Jesus, Tooth Fairy, something is wrong.
He is from the deep, deep South. Picked up a nasty habit growing up in Alabama. He chews tobacco. They gave me this black licorice, which is easily some of the most disgusting stuff I've ever put in my mouth.
I want to put a camera underneath you. You all in the huddle, overhead shot coming down.
This being Mr. Hemingway's first major film, there's a lot of pressure. He's had some absolute successes in his life, but this is huge. It was Anthony that told me originally that we were gonna do the boot camp. I thought, okay, all right, it's gonna be, maybe some push-ups here and there or something but I didn't think that they were gonna go all out and have us, in the barracks and in the cold. I'd never shot a gun before, ever. I was the best shot of the whole squad, which was kind of cool. It really felt like time was standing still. I don't know how it happened, but through the trial and tribulation that was at boot camp, we became family. It showed us firsthand, just some of the things that the actual Tuskegee Airmen had to go through. With the emergence of this new open-mindedness in the world today, I definitely feel like this is the perfect time to know who these men were, what they did, and how big it was. This is not just a movie. This is something that's very, very important as far as Black history, and I feel more than privileged to be a part of this.
They missed me. No holes in me, baby. Wow, brilliant. Smokey, brilliant.
Elijah, I knew. I called him, we had the conversation, and he said, I'm going to church. I'm going to pray about this.
I just want to fight. Just let me fight.
His prayers were answered, and mine were too, because he was the right person for it.
My character is a bit more flamboyant, sort of the life of the party, loudmouth type of guy.
Woo! I'm gonna have some of them swastikas on my plane. They're gonna think I'm camouflage.
My job, I feel like in this movie, is to constantly bring the smile back to everybody's faces. It's a serious movie, but you do want people to remember that these guys were young and they did have fun.
You ask me what I killed. 7 trucks, 5 Jeeps, one of those motorcycles with the sidecar on them. How the hell am I gonna go back home and tell my dad all I killed was traffic?
When I got this script, I was very, very much sold on being a part of this film. You think about things that you want to do as a kid, like, oh, I want to fly a plane, I want to grow up to be a doctor, I want to go to space. And for actors, George Lucas is that metaphor for space. Like, he is it. And, so all of the cast, we're in space right now. We're on planet George, and it's incredible. I feel good. I feel very Tuskegee Airmen right now.
In order to do it or to know it, you have to go through it. I flew, and I've mandated that all the cast get flown.
I tried to hype myself up. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Woo. Woo. I got so much respect for anybody who has ever sat in one of those and did anything for our country. Anthony, you said all the time that this is way bigger than you. Right now, I understand what you're talking about. I didn't feel validated in our performances until the Airmen came.
Oh, God.
How you doing, sir? Good to see you. They're seeing it firsthand, and they're looking at it, they're getting goosebumps, and they're saying, oh yeah, that's right, that's what we did. Because believe me, they said otherwise. You gotta hear them critique the plane landings. It was a 3-wheel landing, and the back wheel kind of hit and skipped.
He ran it in on 2 wheels. Instead of dropping it in.
And I'm like, wow. He is like close to 90 years old and still talking trash.
Kelley! Right on!
Look, I don't like being called Junior. I want the tag Ray Gun. I'm not a kid.
I knew Tristan was gonna be a big star.
I'm good enough to keep right on your tail.
He's someone that I met early in his career on The Wire. He was 15, 16 years old.
He's a guy who loves to fly. There's nothing else that he'd rather do.
So you know the timing on action, you're looking at your leader, right?
Honestly, I admire Ray, which is why I'm so happy I get to play him.
The sky's blue and my guns are hot.
He's a guy with an immense amount of strength and courage.
Can't really see you guys right now. I hope I'm looking at the camera.
Although he does have these injuries, he still wants to get up there and prove himself. In the movie, I did a parachuting scene. The funny thing is, they had a stunt double for me. But, you know, I'm thinking, no, I could do this. You know, this would be cool. Kids, don't try this at home.
3, 2, 1, go!
Anthony is like the big brother. Just to make sure that it's safe, he went up and did it too. He didn't have to do it. He's a director, but he did. And I love him 20 times more for that. I'm always up for a challenge.
Ray Gun strikes again.
How you guys doing? My name is Michael B. Jordan. I'm playing Maurice.
Michael and I met on The Wire.
Flight Officer Maurice Wilson, sir.
I actually got to tell him he got the part myself. To see his face light up, he just completely started bawling. I was like, all right, you gotta stop, because I'm gonna start crying.
Watch out, here we come.
And Maurice is a new recruit. You know, he's fresh out of flight school.
Flight Officer Maurice Wilson, sir.
And he's eager to prove himself, eager to be a man, eager just to prove himself as a fighter pilot.
I don't want to learn how to play cards. I want to learn about combat flying.
Woo-hoo! We are in Prague right now. It is freezing. Like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? But you know what? I'm ready. You know, George Lucas has been wanting to do a film about the Tuskegee Airmen for a couple decades now. And the fact that, you know, we have a black president, a military, and there's just so much going on. It seems like it's the perfect time to shed light on this story. Get your head up, son. You're fighter pilots. There's not too many Tuskegee Airmen left alive. And it's an honor and a privilege just to portray their characters and tell their story. How you doing? To go and talk to them, hey, did you guys say this? Or would you have done this in this situation? And they would tell you right then and there.
If you're coming in low like that, you break away and they can't follow you.
And they were definitely an amazing help because they gave us that authenticity.
You're an airman, you're a pilot. What the hell you doing out here with a rifle?
And they put their stamp of approval on us. They would tell us all the time, like, you actually look like us. You look like me back in the day. And I was like, you know what? To hear an actual Tuskegee Airman, the person that you're portraying, tell you that you remind them of themselves is a huge compliment.
Like angels. I don't know any angels with 650 caliber machine guns.
And this is like the dream come true, man. Coming from Newark, New Jersey, never would have done this before, man. Mind blowing, dude. I have so much respect for pilots, man. It's a beautiful machine.
Hallelujah, the saints are marching in.
I'm Marcus Paulk, and I'm playing David Deke Watkins. For me, no, this is like a totally different experience because a lot of things that I've been involved in has been, family and comedy type driven movies. So for me, this is a big step forward, being able to be a part of a big action movie.
It's hot in that cockpit, boy.
Deke is the believer.
Black Jesus, we thank you for bringing Red Squadron back home to us.
He believes that no matter what, we're gonna be all right because somebody's watching over us. There's angels, keeping us alive in the skies.
I got a bullet right through my canopy. I ought to be dead, y'all. But nothing happened to me, though. That's Black Jesus, I'm telling you. Come on,
Let's go. I've got no problem with Black Jesus, no problem with white Jesus. But what happened to you is luck, Dad, just luck.
I am Kevin Phillips, and I portray Leon Neon Edwards.
It's been a tremendous journey, all the way from boot camp to rehearsals to the actual process of filming. You can imagine going into the air into combat.
Better have some slick stories when you get back.
Flying a small plane, having bullets flying at you.
Don't follow him up in that suit.
You have a family back at home.
My beautiful little girl and her mother.
This could be your last day of life. This may be it.
Yulie Douglas here? Furball's dead, son. Crashed on takeoff.
Just a bad luck chuck, aren't you?
Whatever you believe in, I think it's important to have that spirituality, to connect with a higher being. You need to have that moment of reflection on your life and go into combat with that inspiring you.
We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight!
The Tuskegee Airmen were geniuses with their minds and what they could do with the P-51s, but they were human. They played cards and they joked and, they laughed. They weren't so serious all the time. And I think it's important for us to show that in a film, whether it be flying or whatever it may be. I think this film will inspire young people to live their dreams.
We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight!
We need to change the way we fight. I need pilots who will fly close and tight to the heavies all the way.
Gerald McRaney, and I'm playing General Luntz. A guy with this kind of responsibility spends an inordinate amount of time sizing other people up because he has to know that he can depend on them.
Can you help us? I am asking you man to man. Can you help save lives?
Anthony was a second AD on a series that I did called Promised Land, and he was like 20 years old, turned 20 the first season we were doing it. My co-star and I used to say, one of these days we're all going to be working for that kid. And here I am, working for that kid.
The target is a tank factory on the outskirts of Berlin. We shut that down, we shut down Jerry's ability to shore up a Berlin defense.
Anthony, he's got the gift that all people in this business ought to have. And that is that he starts the day with the words, once upon a time. He's got a great eye, great instincts. He's a storyteller.
U.S. stance, salute, and then they return it.
If you're in this business and you get to do a George Lucas film, you've done something important. Sometimes it takes a George Lucas to get a film like this made, but he'll do it, and he'll do it right.
If you didn't have my respect, I wouldn't be here talking to you face to face. But we don't win this war. All my regard, everything that you and your men have done, none of it means a thing.
The Tuskegee Airmen had to fight against two fronts, one against the Nazis during the war, but also once again, once they came back to the United States in the segregated country. So we needed a great villain. If anybody has seen Breaking Bad, you realize what an extraordinary person Bryan Cranston is, because he's bad, but he's also good, and we needed him to be bad in this, and he came in and just in 2 days did the part. It was a real gift for us. We couldn't be more grateful that he joined our cast.
My name is Bryan Cranston. I'm playing the role of Colonel William Mortimus in the film Red Tails. He is the villain of the piece, but certainly you don't approach a character that way. You try to find the honest truth about what he believes and present that.
I don't believe your boys have scored a single aerial kill.
Because you have not assigned us a single forward mission.
The scene we're shooting today is where we start to understand the attitude that was present in the early 40s and that there was a definite segregation to the Army.
You're colored men in a white man's army. It's a miracle you're flying fighters in Italy.
What we have to do, Anthony Hemingway, our director, has to transport a modern-day audience back to those years and the feeling apparent in those days of race relations.
What are you doing here? This is an officers' club.
I am an officer.
This is a whites-only officers' club.
We will not go away.
And Terrance is so good, I almost don't want to look at him because of his stare.
Now, we've done every low-down, dirty job you've handed us.
And that sort of worked for me. I would turn away, and it's almost even more dismissive if I don't even acknowledge your presence there.
I'm afraid you're just going to have to suffer its failure.
Despite how I feel personally, it doesn't diminish my interest in playing a character that's far less than perfect. They're really the best roles. To play someone with a point of view that's so askew, they're delicious.
Still doesn't change what I think of you and your boys.
We don't care.
In the 70s, my father was producing a movie, and it was the story of the Tuskegee Airmen during World War II. And there was someone at the studio who, after 3 weeks of production, pulled the plug and said, "We just can't put this much money behind a black movie." And it shut down the whole picture, and it went away. That wasn't that long ago. So for me, being able to be in a picture that will come to completion because of George Lucas, it gives me satisfaction to know that I'm, in a small way, contributing to the completion of the story. And hopefully the role, it'll come off believable, and I'll be booed.
They done shut down the whole Luftwaffe, didn't they?
Yes, they did, huh? Those hot shots sure did.
Hi, this is Method Man Clifford Smith. My character's name is Sticks, and this is Red Tails.
Yes, Mom, I have a job. I'll be moving out your basement in no time.
We got 3 planes, the hydraulic pumps are shot. Oh, shit. 2 more got back
Grab
up.
a piece of that tape and put it over that hose.
My name is Andre Royo, and I play Coffee, chief mechanic. Coffee is like MacGyver. He can make it happen with anything. He got, you know, rubber band, comic book, some chewing tobacco. He can make something fly. That's how you fix planes. 101, 10-minute how to fix a P-40.
Action!
The crewmen, they were as important as the pilots. The pilots had to go out and then do the missions and complete the missions, but they couldn't do it without our babies, which are the planes.
What the hell is this? Did somebody throw a train at you?
Coffee, I can see you upset. When a pilot goes up in one of your planes, it's like you're a baby, and you care about that plane and the pilot, so you don't really rest until that pilot comes back. And when he comes back, you're right into the zone of fixing the plane and getting ready for the next mission.
Coffee.
Yes, sir.
I need them all marked up and ready to fly.
It's taken care of. You have a responsibility to teach about our past and about how much of a mountain we climbed to get to this point.
That being a mechanic back there that I wasn't gonna talk to.
That's the man of my heart. Sitting there with the Tuskegee Airmen, it doesn't get any better than that, you know? So hopefully we do them well. Loud and proud.
You have to look at these men, look at the adversity that they had to deal with, and really applaud their efforts. I mean, this is beyond having Michael Jordan as a hero. This is beyond thinking Derek Jeter is a god on the baseball field. My accomplishments are nothing compared to anything these guys have done.
Yes, I do.
Whatever black pride we have is going to increase even more.
Get your head up, son. You're fighter pilots.
Bright red tails, black pilots, you can't call us nothing else but distinctive.
There's an hour's worth of dogfights, and we had to really plan this out very carefully because we were talking about 1,700 shots.
With digital technology now, we can actually do a real dogfight movie the way it should be done.
Really, in this kind of movie, when you're trying to reproduce something real, we just want to get it to a level that we feel like it's just totally believable. When it's believable, you've succeeded.
We had done very extensive animatics. And the idea was to cut the film completely and wait till we had the final cut of the movie, and then we'd actually farm out the visual effects. So we decided we'd use a number of facilities. And we had two major companies, one in Germany called Pixelmondo, the other one in the Czech Republic called UPP.
Red Tails were definitely the biggest project we ever worked on.
Of course, I grew up watching Star Wars, and it's an honor to work with ILM and George. They invented half the stuff that we're using on an everyday basis.
And we had a great visual effects supervisor, Craig Hammack at ILM, and his team did a magnificent job of keeping the look consistent with all the houses.
I think our initial flash needs to be hotter and white.
Okay.
And it was great that we did the opening sequence first so that we had a body of work that we could show to our outside vendors and say, here's the quality of the image we're looking for, here's what we want the flight dynamics to be, here's what the camera dynamics should be to really make exciting shots.
And that blends seamlessly into the start of Pixelmondo's work. Pixelmondo, they were given a little over 500 shots.
The truck straightening was shot so that the truck is coming at us. So we needed to replace the truck in the shot with a CG truck and start to burn it and end it with a large explosion.
Easy, I see something.
Early in the script was the train crash sequence.
The train wreck sequence expanded because our friends down at Pixelmondo said, hey, let's make this a little bit bigger. What if we put another angle in here?
And we suggested a more dramatic shot in front of the train.
So they came up with something. I mean, that's nice that a vendor that we're using will make suggestions like that.
UPP in the Czech Republic, we were able to give them, likewise, just under 500 shots. And they had some very challenging work.
Bogies inbound, 12 o'clock.
There were full CG environment builds and aerial battles up in the clouds. They had probably the most difficult cloud work in the movie. And in addition to that, UPP did the ME-262 jets.
Working on the ME-262 was for us really interesting because these planes were built during the Second World War in Czech Republic.
And with the ME-262 comes something that's unique to the jets, the contrails, the vapor trails that come out from behind the jets. It's an added effect that they had to develop.
Some of the most important things to make realistic flight animation is to get some of the subtleties in there. You've got a plane up in space, and it's going to be buffeting around all the time. We've all flown in planes. You know that there's buffeting going on and that kind of stuff. And then just simple things like when a plane is going to peel off, it rolls before it moves over.
There it is, boys.
There's a sequence where the German base gets strafed by the Red Tails.
These shots were probably for us the most complex. Sometimes we started with principal photography and we filled the rest of the shots with the CG extension.
All the details of the base, buildings, extra planes, extra crew, were all done digitally.
When you go up, George has been doing this for a long time, and by that I don't just mean making entertaining movies. He's been designing action sequences for a long time. He knows what he's doing. Red Tails is a real story, and it's an important story.
It was a monumental challenge to get all 7 visual effects companies working together. For most of these companies, this is the biggest film they'd ever done, and I couldn't be happier. They just did a magnificent job.
What is the sound of a soldier sitting alone, thinking about what he's going through, being away from home? What's the sound of a soldier who comes back home just to be forgotten? That's what I was thinking of. to see that George Lucas was involved in something this major, I knew it would be approached in the right way. When we talked about scoring this movie, it's a George Lucas production, and his films have a certain sound to them.
Here we go.
And I wanted to marry that large orchestral score with the heritage of the African-American rhythmic pulse. So I started thinking about what African-American soldiers would be listening to and sounds that should represent their cultural background. And I started to think about all of those military drum cadences I've heard when I was back in high school playing in marching band. So when they fly back and that celebratory music is being played, there's a rhythmic thing that's happening there with the drum. And it has the feel of a drum and bugle corps, but done from the perspective of a Southern college marching band. Oh man. Well, first of all, before we even played a note, you're in Prague. It's a beautiful city. And we had an amazing orchestra. They gave 110%. They all played great, had great suggestions, in a beautiful workspace. And that choir was amazing. And we're the beneficiaries of their great efforts. When I started thinking about that main theme that we use in a number of places, first thing I came up with was and that's a very short thing, right? But the thing that I love about that is that I can take it in so many different ways.
They all set? All ready, sir.
You're gonna hear the theme a number of times, but it's never gonna come back the same way. I only need to have hints of it, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then later on, I don't have to play the entire theme for you, if we're successful.
More a little brass, right? In that section where the flyover is?
It's starting at 31. If we could get more of the low brass, please. Here we go.
The thing for me about those battle scenes, there are all of these swooping shots of planes diving, and all of those things dictate a musical sound to me. It's kind of like being on a bandstand with a jazz band, and somebody will throw a musical phrase your way, and you go, "Oh, wait a minute, I didn't know we were going there. Okay, let's go there." Then the next thing you know, you're off into a different direction. You cannot go to Italy and not have mandolin, man. I try to use it very sparingly, just like a little seasoning for the scenes, because it keeps us in Sophia's world. One of the things that's the hardest thing for me to watch is when Easy has to go tell Sophia that Lightning died. I kept thinking what that rush of emotion was like. The only thing I could think of was my mom got a call in the middle of the night one time when her brother died. And it was like our world was shattered, like within seconds. And the music starts off in a very minimal fashion. And then all of a sudden it swells. Because I kept thinking, that's exactly what she must have felt. She had to. When you go into the final mix, man, that's one of the hardest things about doing this, because they're the sound effects guys. And then there's the dialogue guys. You have the continuity person. Then you have the film mixer himself. So we're all fighting for attention. Hey man, turn the music up. But there's an explosion there. No, but the music's more important. But the thing is, when you get it right, it all comes together in a way that can be like really cool, you know? Plus, then afterwards, you go, turn on the explosion, turn up the music. No. But to get the opportunity to work on a film like this for me was a blessing, because I got a chance to spread my wings. thing about working on a film like this, I wanted to have something that whenever you heard it, it brought you back to the Red Tails, their sacrifice. That's what I kept coming back to. In my small little way, I wanted to write something that will make them feel warm and welcome.
Yes, sir.
And appreciate it. And hopefully when people see this film, the theme will be something that'll stick with them, and whenever they hear it, it'll make them want to say thank you.